Hi, my name is Carey Holzman, and I'm the co-host of the free podcast TechVets. It's available at www.tech-vets.com. If you enjoy my videos, I think you'll also enjoy my podcast, so be sure and check it out. Now, have you ever had a computer that was acting unreliably? And by that I mean, maybe one day it works fine, but the next day it crashes 3 or 4 times with blue screens of death or other errors? With those kind of symptoms, the first place I would check is the computer's RAM. When computer memory starts to fail, it can exhibit all kinds of bizarre behaviors. And it can be very difficult to diagnose. However, in this video I'm going to show you how you can download and use a free program called Camtasia. It's operating system independent because it boots to its own CD, which I'll show you how to make and use. I've got it running here on the screen in front of me, and I'll also show you how you can translate what the screen is saying to determine if your RAM is working or failing. Welcome then to Quick Tips number 12. So the first thing we need to do is start our browser. So here I've got Google Chrome, which we'll bring up and go to www.memtest86.com and press enter. Now here there's information about the program, and you can read that at your leisure, but for right now we're just going to go to free download and click once there. And here you'll see there are a couple of versions available. The reason for that is some versions don't work with some motherboard chipsets. We want the latest version for the latest compatibility with the latest chipsets. So click on version 4.0A, or since this video has been made, there may be newer versions. So whatever is listed as the newest, that's the one you want. In this instance, it's version 4.0A. We click once on that, and you'll see they offer numerous versions of version 4.0A for different scenarios. There's a Linux gzip ISO image for people running Linux. There's a floppy disk package. There's a USB key image, which is only installable from Linux. And of course, there's the Linux source and binary package. What we want is the very first thing listed here, which is the Windows ISO image for creating a bootable CD. So click once on that, and you'll see it starts to download, and in fact it's already downloaded. So we'll go ahead and click on that, and that is the ISO we need to extract. So I'm going to extract that by just simply clicking extract all files, and it asks us where we want to put the files that we're extracting, and the default directory is fine. It's going to put it in downloads Memtest86. Click extract. Now we can close these windows, and the next site we need to go to is www.imgburn.com and press enter. This is a free program that lets you burn ISO images very simply to CDs, much easier than the built-in method in Windows 7 and 8. And if you're running Windows XP, you're going to need to have this program anyway. So I just recommend everybody get it. Now don't be fooled by this free download here. This is not what you want. These big download buttons, avoid them. What we're looking for is right up here at the top. It says download. Go ahead and click once on that. Now here we can see there are 7 mirrors available. That means there are 7 websites that are hosting this file that you can download it from. Now if you click on any of the first 6, it'll take you to their website like Major Geeks, where they try and get you to download other things. They get paid every time someone downloads these other things. And somewhere in that mess is the download you're looking for, and it can be really confusing. So my recommendation is to download IMGBurn directly from IMGBurn. So if we just click on Mirror 7 here, you'll see that the download is automatically started, and it's saving right now. It's just 5.8 megabytes, and there, we've already got it. Now we can go ahead and install IMGBurn by clicking here and then click Run. And here we've got the setup. Go ahead and click Next. You have to accept the end user license agreement, of course. Click Next. I would leave all this at the default settings and click Next. Again, click Next. Again, click Next. And of course it begins to install. Here it asks if you want IMGBurn to periodically check if a newer version is available. Of course, you've got to be connected to the internet for that to work. I'm going to click Yes. Always best to have the latest version. Here you'll see another browser window just opened that says thank you for installing IMGBurn. We can go ahead and close that. and in fact we can close the entire browser. Here it says completing the image burn setup wizard. IMG burn has been installed on your computer. Click finish to close this wizard. And then the option to run IMG burn I uncheck and I click finish. Now at this point, take a blank CD and insert it into your optical drive. Then wait a moment while the CD gets recognized and auto run will start, as it just did, or the auto play in this instance. We'll just go ahead and close that window out. Now double click IMG burn to start that program. It says what do you want to do? We want to write an image file to disk, so click that. It says please select a file, so click the yellow folder, go to the downloads directory. There's our Memtest86 ISO folder. Open the folder, and there's the file. So click once on the file and click open. Now here it shows the write speed is AWS, which means auto write speed. That's fine. Number of copies is 1. That's good. Up here where it says verify, I always uncheck that. I think that's a waste of time. And here this is a big button which we can click right now, and that starts the burn process. And while it's burning, I can go ahead and tell the program to eject the tray and to close the program once it's complete. There's this log file, which I'll move up here, that just sort of gives you an idea of everything that's going on as it's happening. I usually just ignore this. It's a lot of technical information, which typically you don't need. That has burned that quickly, and the program is closed, and the disk has ejected. So we can take that disk out and label it as Memtest86 version 4.0A. Now the next step is to go ahead and put the disk back in your DVD drive and close the DVD drive door. And then we're going to want to reboot the computer, and it should automatically boot to the optical drive, and Memtest86 will start running. It'll look a little something like this. I need to click the start button and go to shutdown and choose restart, and then you'll see the BIOS screen appears and it boots from the CD, and we get this boot menu. Do you want version 4.08 or 3.5B? If you don't touch anything at all, it'll default to 4.0A. So it's doing that now, and now you'll see Memtest86 is running, and on the upper left here where I've just zoomed in, you have all of your CPU information, your L1, L2, L3 cache, how much memory is installed, and then below that it shows all 4 of your CPU cores, or in this case my CPU cores, and how they're interacting with the memory test. Now to the right it shows the Intel Core i5-3770K CPU. Below that it shows how far along we are in the pass of the test. It shows we're 23% through test number 3, which you see below that. The testing and the pattern information below that are just information that's not really particularly useful. It tells us CPU started is 4, CPUs active is 1, CPUs selected is all, CPUs found is 4, because we have 4 cores. You'll see that we go back to the left now, the bottom line that's kind of in the middle of the screen shows how much time has elapsed, how many iterations have happened. The test that's selected is standard, and then this is the critical part. It says pass 0, error 0. Of course, at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see it, press escape for exit, C for configuration if you want to change the configuration. Now, beside that, you'll see it says SP scroll lock and CR scroll unlock. So the SP is short for spacebar, and the CR is short for carriage return, or your enter key. And what happens when Memtest86 determines there's bad memory or encounters bad memory, it'll give you the memory location, and usually when it detects one bad memory location, it detects a bunch of them at the same time, and it'll all start scrolling across your screen. Now if you wanted to be able to read that, you'd need to pause or lock that scrolling. So by hitting spacebar, you could lock that scrolling so you could read it, and then hitting carriage return or enter will resume the scrolling. Basically, if you see the amount, the memory come up that says it's bad, or these memory locations come up, that means it's encountered bad memory. It doesn't really matter what the memory location is. To people like you and me, it's irrelevant. Just go ahead and shut the computer down, take out one of your memory modules, and run the test again. And again, if it starts scrolling, you don't need to complete the test. At that point, it's already found bad memory, and you don't need to go any further with the test. Now, if we look on the screen here at the top right, It's showing we're 33% through the pass of doing one full set of 12 tests. Below that, it shows right now we're at 17% through the test, and the test we're on is number 7. So, in other words, when test number 7 is complete, then the line above it that says test 43%, 44%, when test gets to 100%, then it'll move on to test number 8. Once it completes test number 11, it'll start over at test 0. So there's 12 memory tests that it does, and depending on how much memory you've got and how fast your computer is, the memory test to do a complete cycle of tests 0 through 11, that's all 12 tests, right? Because 0 is test 1, and test 1 is actually the second test, and test 2 is actually the third test, and so therefore test 11 is the 12th test. Once it's done with all 12 tests, it will tell you at the bottom of the screen that the tests are complete. So while I've been talking here, we were already moved up to test number 8. Let's just go ahead and skip to the end of test number 11. Okay, so now we've jumped ahead to towards the end of test number 11, and as you see, it shows pass 100%, test 100%. It's still finishing the rest of test number 11. It'll just take a moment here. There, it's already started over at 0. It's back to test 1. And if you look down below, it says pass complete, no errors, press escape to exit. And that's what you want to see. That basically says PEXHDCAP thinks your memory is just fine, no problems there. And that's your ultimate goal, is to see that. Now, as you see, PEXHDCAP starts over again. Why does it do that? Well, in some rare occasions, it's possible to have memory that only fails when it gets hot. You could let it run overnight and see if any errors occur. But generally speaking, if it goes through one set of all 12 tests and you get one complete pass without any errors, more than likely your memory is fine. And if you're having a problem with your computer, it's elsewhere. But you know, even if you're not having a problem with your computer, you could have bad memory and not even know you've got it because you haven't yet used that area of memory if you're not a power user, for example. Of course, bear in mind it's completely possible that you could have bad memory that PEXHDCAP thinks is fine, and of course the reverse is true as well. So this isn't an end-all be-all of memory tests, but I find the vast majority of the time when PEXHDCAP determines there's a problem with the memory, then there really is a problem. And when it says the memory is good, well over most of the time, it is generally good. But there are exceptions to every rule. In fact, that's why you're offered the option of 2 different versions of MemTest when you boot the CD. The latest version and the previous version is because, like I've encountered systems where I boot to the MemTest CD, it automatically starts to load the latest version, and then the whole system reboots again, and MemTest never starts. In that case, you want to go to the previous version. And if the previous version does that, well, you got to perhaps go and find an even older version. So it just depends on how old your computer is and what chipset it's got. But by default, you always want to use the latest and greatest version of MemTest on any system, first and foremost. You'll also notice that when I boot to the CD, I don't make any changes or press any keys on the keyboard. I just let MemTest run with its default configuration. It's the easiest program in the world to run. Just let it run. And then just watch your screen to see if it determines and finds any errors with your memory. And that's all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this helps you out. Until next time, bye for now.